Loads of you been banging on at me in the comments saying, Alex, why are you not using your Qi10 anymore? Well, that's why. Look at it. So I went to Spain a couple of weeks ago. You'd have seen all the videos that came out of us testing driver lofts and everything there. I left my clubs in the club carrier for a few days and I was like, oh, I should probably sort these out, get them out, to find my beloved Qi10 like this. I mean, look at the state of it. A lot of you will be like, Alex, just go through your insurance company, but then they're like, can you prove it happened then? Because it's 2 weeks since you come back. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. You pass from pillar to post. Before you know it, your excess is more than the shaft. And I'm like, where do I go from here? But then I was like, well, I was sent these a year ago and I thought, well, why not pop one of these into this? Now, when I thought that, I obviously then did a bit of research on what these are. These are Proxima shafts. Now, obviously I wanted to know what these shafts are and I want to just read this. So I've done, like I say, a bit of research. People are saying Proxima shafts are better than an Autoflex. Now, Autoflex are those $850 shafts we have tested on the channel before, and a Ventus TR, which is actually what I had in there. I really don't know what to make of them. Look at it. Yes, they are expensive. They've got something called SSC technology, and they are made in Korea, just like the Autoflex. So we're gonna head to Scottsdale, and what's interesting is, like, I know they probably won't, well, they will have heard of them, but never seen any of these shafts before. So I don't know if the tech will make these hard to cut. Now, it usually is Joe that we have, and I know that some of you like doing your own DIY. There might be some tips that he gives you that you can do some of your own bits at home. There might not be, but there might be a few things that you can do. But I'm really interested just to see what they actually think of these shafts. What they, because they're so au fait with all this, what they think of this brand. Okay. Let's turn a little bit of a smooth relax off on a Monday morning. Who doesn't love a little bit of take that? So I said I was doing a little bit of research on what these shafts are, because literally I had no idea. So here's some of the shaft information. I'm gonna have to read this off. Now, the first few things they're saying is, they've been going since 2006. They're lighter, low torque, and high CPM. Now, I've no idea what that is, so I'm gonna have to ask Joe about CPM. And this is really interesting. I mentioned when we first saw that shaft, it had SSC technology, and that stands for Straight Support Core, right? And I'll be honest with you, this is not something I've ever heard of before. We heard of the Autoflex stuff about how it bends and goes to your swing tight, but then you have to do a lot of mad things with the head to make the swing weight right. So it's basically a multi-angle structure of the axis from the tip, let's say that again. It's a multi-angle structure of the axis from the tip to the butt end of the shaft, which reduces side spin and increases ball speed. Fragmentation of the multi-angle structures between the tip to 13 inches upwards to the butt end will provide low torque and maximize straighten direction. Now, I appreciate that means like gobbledygook to most of us, and me included sometimes, right? Essentially, think of the shaft, it has some torque in it, it will twist, and what they're saying this technology does, it twists less. So it's more stable. More stable, twists less, longer, straighter drive. Now, when we've actually made this driver up for the first time with this shaft, and I'm gonna say it's probably one of the only ones in the UK, I am gonna test this. Let's get some baseline numbers with this. Ball speed, carry, dispersion, and let's put to the test. The weird thing is, and we're filming at a very nice driving range. That's all I'll say. But, okay, we're nearly at Scottsdale, so let's jump in there. So, process is about to start. Joe is gonna put this shaft, and you've not heard of this, had you?
No.
Actually, I thought you might have, because you guys know everything. Yeah. But research that we've done, like I say, it is like an Autoflex, and they sell these here. So it'll be interesting to see what numbers we get from this. So we've already taken that out, which looks absolutely desperately bad. Talk me through the process. I'm going to give you that. Yep. And we're going to get into the workshop here. There's a few things that you can do at home. So like, I'll ask Joe a few things, but like, all right, okay, you could use maybe a pipe cutter, or you could use a saw to do certain things. So if there's anything you want to do with your clubs at home, maybe there's some tips in there. Okay, Joe, so let's get into this process.
Over here. So to start off with, what we're going to do is we're just going to rough up the end. A bit different with steel and graphite, so you use two different sort of belts. So you've got the stone wheel for your steel, and then you've got your sort of sandpaper for your graphite. Just makes it a little bit easier to use a stone wheel, so it makes it nice and rough, and then same with the graphite. So what we'll do is start off with just turn it on, just pop that against there. It looks
And how do you know how far to go down? What you were sort of gauging?
It takes a bit of time to get used to where and when. But what you tend to find is with different adapters for different woods is different lengths.
Oh, so because we're putting this in a tailor-made head, you know roughly how long that's going to go?
Exactly, yeah. So just to give you an idea, say if we're just going one of these draws.
So this would be different if you had a Callaway, Titleist. I'm looking at all the brands here, Cobra, Ping, for example. It's all a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, so just for instance, you've got your Taylormade there, so their ferrule at the bottom is really tiny. Okay. Whereas if you've got Titleist, that's not the right one, but it gives you...
But yeah, you can just see how much bigger that is.
So, yeah, so you can see your Taylormade's got a really small ferrule at the bottom, whereas your Titleist is significantly larger.
Moving down.
Yeah, so they do normally come sort of away from to start off with, and then we attach it second hand.
Oh, so you build it up?
So we build it up, whereas sometimes they do come sort of already pre-attached.
So what you're saying is you just got to know what you're doing?
Sometimes. right ferrule, right adapter. Yeah.
In this process, we're going to be putting the ferrule on, we're going to be putting the adapter on, we're going to be putting the grip on, cutting it to length, I think, because I don't know what length this is. And we've gone for the 6X. We were sent a 5X and a 5S. We've gone for the big boy. Next bit.
Next time is you need a head to start with.
So should we, I'll just grab my head, obviously.
Yeah.
You actually fit me for this as well.
I know, now you're putting a different shaft in it.
Well, not what I'm wanting to do, to be honest with you.
Just grab a quick wrench. Loft sleeve was standard, wasn't it?
Yes, standard, yes, so it's 10.5.
Just get that loft sleeve there, tighten that up.
So you put the loft sleeve on first, does that make it easier to glue on?
Yeah. It's also, it's easier to glue for one, but then also, if you've got a loose adapter in there, that's just going to wiggle about. So then you can make sure that's all the way in. You know it's the right length when we're cutting it.
Right, okay.
So what we're doing is put that on there and we make sure that's flat at the bottom, because otherwise if you've got, for instance, if I push that so that's toe up, it changes the length. Yes. Same as if that heels all the way down.
Yeah, so what, just show us again, which bit you're looking for?
So you're using that flat edge there to try and get it, so you can see that it sits flush there.
Because that's gone from like 48 to 49,
so
depending on where it is, or 47.
Depending on how it sits.
So what was my length of my shaft on my other one? I'm not expecting you to remember this, but...
So we have a standard length because every manufacturer has different standard lengths. So for argument's sake, some manufacturers play at 45.5, some play at 45 3/4, 45 1/4. We play at 45 1/2, so it sits roughly in the middle. So yours was our standard, or most manufacturers' standards.
So that's right.
So what we do is just get a Sharpie, 45 1/2, give that a mark there.
Nice. This shaft looks like quite cool in the matte finish.
I
know it means nothing of how it performs, but it's got to look good.
So we take that back out and now we cut it. So let's lift that.
So at home, if someone was cutting this, you mentioned because it's graphite before, you'd have to use a saw, wouldn't you?
Yeah, so typically with graphite, use a saw, or like I said, a pipe cutter before, that would be mainly for steel, you'd have to do it really slow, it takes a lot of time. Whereas graphite, use a saw, it's a little bit sharper, a little bit cleaner than using a pipe cutter, because you don't want to get any splinters or break.
You don't want it to like break at the end, don't you? Because it could like fray a little bit.
Yeah, then it affects the sturdiness at the top of the shaft in a way. So in this case, I use a ruler just to make sure everything's lined up. Some people do it a little bit differently, but I tend to pop that there, line it up with where we've marked it, just tighten that up. There, put some of these on.
Glasses on, obviously.
Yeah, for safety first. Turn it on. Cut through.
Nice.
Then that way, as you can see just at the end, it's gone straight through where we've marked, which is perfect.
That stinks, by the way. Is that the graphite?
Yeah.
Can't describe what smell that is, but it's like melting plastic would probably be what I'd describe it as. Okay, so next bit, now we're on swing weight.
Swing weight, yeah, so.
I wonder what grip we should go for. I usually use
You need to decide that before and after, because it affects swing weight, different grips, different weights.
Okay.
So just make sure for starting off it's at 0, 0, so it's perfectly balanced.
Yeah.
Pop that.
And for swing rate, that's how the club will feel when you're swinging it, in layman's terms.
Yeah,
people,
so it's the easiest way is the balance of the club. So for instance, do you want it head heavy, head light? Do you want it to match the rest of your set from woods or irons to blend it nicely and things like that?
Right, so is that all set to 0?
So at the moment, yeah, it was set to 0. Currently on there it's E4.1, which is ridiculously heavy. However, we've got no grip. Okay. So this is where we need to choose what grip we're.
When you say ridiculously heavy, is that ridiculously head heavy?
Yes.
Yeah.
At the moment. Yeah.
Okay, so grip. Oof, big decision this. I usually go lambkin, but I feel like mixing it up a little bit.
It's up to you.
What
Personal preference. Pretty much anything you want. Multi-compounds, corded.
I don't know why this is such a big decision.
Even sort of tall velvets, lambkin cross lines to cross line
I'm feeling something with a bit of blue in, because it's got a bit of blue in there. I feel.
Let's have a flick through, see what we've got.
Do you know what I mean? Just mix it up. So you have like a whole system here of like literally any grip, pretty much any shaft you can see over in the fitting area. So usually, if you've seen on this channel before, time after time after time, I've gone lambkin, but I'm feeling, look at it, right? I'm feeling a bit of blue here. There's a bit of blue in the shaft. I think it'll just make it pop, look a bit different. I'm thinking, yeah, maybe a multi-compound with a bit of blue, if they have it, which I'm sure they will.
We're going quite big at the moment on ionic.
Okay, should we show them then?
Yeah,
ionic, then.
to do sky blue or royal blue.
What's that?
That's an army blue.
It's quite cool.
You've got them to grab all three, so you think. Because one's like a sky blue, like a city blue, you've got a royal blue, or you've got the army, which is that one.
I think we'll go army, you know?
Yeah?
Yeah, I think we'll go army. Look at that, that's it, we'll go for this. Ionic. I've never had one before. But yeah, I think that'll look really quite cool.
Perfect. Give me 2 secs.
So these are the colours. That's a city blue. Is that like a royal blue, would you say?
Yeah.
That's the multi-compound, or this is the one that I actually chose on the website. I'm gonna go with this one. I think it's the best fit. Like, if you look at this over here, what are you saying? Good fit?
Colourway's good.
I think it looks good.
Even from the head. Couple of the graphics on the shaft and grip.
Right, decided. We're gonna go with this. 2 layers of tape, but Joe just made a good point. This is a brand new shaft we don't know anything about, so we're gonna put it on the curing machine that they use here at Scottsdale. Let's actually see what this is like. Now, don't forget, we are gonna take this to the driving range, the beaches, very nice driving range, hit some shots and get some ball data and see how this actually flies. But first, let's pure it. So this is the process, isn't it? We put it in here, this clamps it in, and basically does it measure, you can just.
So with graphite, it's a little bit different, where even if it's steel, every shaft starts like a sheet, so then it's rolled. So then with steel, it's just sort of a couple of layers, and then it's sort of bonded. So it's like, in theory, it's like a spine to every golf shaft. Whereas with graphite, it's a little bit more technical, should you say, where there's a little bit more layers that go into it, so diagonally, horizontally, vertical, all that sort of stuff. So there can be more layers on one side than there are on the other. Yeah. So it's trying to find the profile of the shaft, because with graphite, even though it looks the same, they're all constructed completely differently, so the profile's a little bit different. So the way that we do it is we put it in here, so you specify if the golfer is left or right-handed to start off with, and then you've got a soft side and a hard side. So the hard side is, it finds where the most stable part of the shaft is, and we build it, it marks it out, so we build it a certain way, whereas soft side, it'll flip it 180, so it plays, the hard side of the shaft will play underneath, so it helps to play with a little bit of launch, a little bit of spin.
So you can make it to, for example, if someone, like you said, struggles to launch it, struggles to spin it, you can set it up to be like that, as well as choosing the right shaft, as well as choosing the right loft.
Yeah, so you see it quite a lot in fittings where if the player's struggling a little bit to get the ball in the air with a launch or even spin, where just putting that sort of spine on the sort of 180 behind, it helps them give it a little bit more of a kick.
Nice. We're
going so with
hard
yourself,
side.
hard side, which we've previously done, and then what we do is we start that.
This is mad. It'd be interesting to see though, like how stable this actually is, like, because if it's actually pretty close already, as in like not hard side or soft side, but how much is it deflection? Is the right word?
Lateral oscillation.
Yeah.
So what we do to start off with is to make sure that we get the graphics where the manufacturer would normally put it is on the top, just so we can see the benefit of before and after as well, mainly. And then we specify what shaft it is, so I might need to jump in there.
Will it even be on here?
It's not, I'm going to have to add it now.
This is a first. I'm actually genuinely really excited to see what this actually goes like, because like we say, none of us know what it is, none of us know what it's like. It's new on the block, it came out in 2006, I think I said earlier. But yeah, Proxima, it sounds like something that's like from Greek time or something. Greek? Rome? That's what movie's that? What a Rome one? Anyway, they're going off topic. What movie's that?
Couldn't tell you.
Come on, you do know the one with the movie where he fights as Gladiator. Gladiator.
Gladiator.
It sounds like something from that.
As well. The second one's coming out soon.
Is it?
Yeah. So specify what head it's going into as well. So for your case, it's going to be a driver, but you can do it for irons, wedges,
even putter.
hybrids. Yeah, you can do it for your putter. So what it's going to do to start off with is measure how perfectly round the golf shaft is. So if you can see it here, it measures it. So it'll bend the shaft. So give us a profile of the shaft. So how cylindrical it is, or
what are you thinking? Because these are
I've never seen a perfectly round golf shaft yet. It would be a first. It's not.
And it's not.
So as you can see, obviously the graph there, if it was a perfectly cylindrical shaft all the way through, this graph here would be a straight line. So you can see that it does have a little bit of tolerance in there.
Is that a lot?
I would say yes, but you can see it does happen with these types of shafts every now and again, or these upmarket shafts every now and again. The main thing is how well can we get it playing straight through. So if we put a little bit of tape on here, so this purely is for when the machine marks it out later on, I know exactly where to build it. So you have 2 weights as well, so you have a heavier weight, which is for irons and wedges, and you have a slightly lighter one which is for your woods and your hybrids. So tighten that up, press start, and then this lever is just going to kick this shaft, so as if it was like on the downswing auto impacts, and then we'll see potentially a little bit of a laceration, so you can see it just go around a little bit more in a circle.
It's like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then on the graph you can see that. And that should get smaller and smaller, that, right?
Yeah, so all it's doing is, if you can just sort of zoom in on here, in a second when it's kicked the shaft, it'll only move it a couple of mil every time. Well, in this case it'll do a 180, but you should see it do it now.
It's a crazy process.
Yeah.
And this just makes, again, it more stable. So if you've got a stable shaft already, you're just making sure it's playing in the best way possible.
Yeah. So all it's doing at the moment is trying to find that most stable part of the shaft. So at the end, where that weight is, it's going straight back and straight through. So it's trying to get that as straight as possible instead of going a little bit more like this.
So before it was sort of somewhere here, wasn't it?
Yes. I think it started at, was it 3.6 or 3 point something?
And now it's 1.9, now it's 1.6.
Yeah.
It's the best you can get it.
Anything sort of 0.6 and below is classed as a good pure. Your top end shafts, sometimes you can see them to get to about 0.4.
Okay, interesting. So I wonder if that gets there. What are you thinking? Do you reckon this will? Because this
It'll
is
get it below 0.6. It just depends if it'll get it at 0.4. We're at 0.8 now.
Because this is meant to be a top end shaft.
Yeah.
What do you, I mean, I don't know if you heard me say it, but it's $650 to buy one of these.
I'd like to try it before I buy it. But
Okay, 0.5, 0.6. It's gone back up.
so it'll get it back to that 0.5.
Right, that's interesting. 0.45 to
0.4,
0.45.
yeah.
That's pretty good then, isn't it? And that's what you'd expect for a really high-end shaft,
Yeah,
right? To be able to get
exactly.
somewhere there.
So what it's done there is it's marked out the shaft, so you know exactly where to build it, so exactly where to place it in the head. So it just specifies has it been marked correctly, because sometimes the ink doesn't go perfectly on there, so we have to redo it. And then what it'll show you now is your before and your after. And then it'll show you a little bit of detail underneath of it's improved that outer plane laceration by 85%. So even though it doesn't look like an awful lot,
that is a lot.
it's a lot.
What's mad is that it almost passed its first test here.
Yeah.
Because if it's a $650 shaft and you can't pure it onto the same level, then it's like, well, why have you got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we take the head weight back off.
That was such a good idea to do that. Like, I didn't even think about doing that. Joe suggested why don't we put it in this. So now we're going on to back to building it. We've chosen our grip. And yeah, but I don't go too far off actually having this as an actual club ready to hit.
That's impressive.
Why?
So if you have a look there, so that's the way I'd build it in the head.
Yeah.
So, right, so that line is there. So if you hold that there, so that's how you're going to look at it.
Yeah, and the things
And
are either side.
if you lift it, if you push that away from you, the graphics are perfectly in the puring position. So what I mean, so if you put that there, so if I'm going to build it in the head like that, if I go like that, the decals are perfectly behind.
It's very satisfying actually.
That's impressive, yeah.
So 2 layers of tape. So this has to go in when you're swing weighting it, doesn't it?
Yes.
It'll make a difference.
So the reason why we do the 1 instead of the 2 is because the second one is effectively the same as what the glue they're putting in this end, so it balances out a little bit more. So that's why we only put 1 layer up here. Whereas what I'm going to have to do now is, because it sits a little bit low, get it balancing off the end.
And what do we want this to be?
D4 to D6, typically with a driver.
Oh, a D4, bang on. It's perfect. So 2 layers of tape, helmet grip. We're now going to glue the sleeve on. That's what we're doing next?
Yeah, so we put it through the glue.
But if you wanted it from home, you could get stuff like this.
You can use that, yeah.
Okay, so a little tip. From the home, you could
use 3M, which is what they use on the tour now.
Is that just because it dries quicker?
1, it dries a little bit quicker, but it's the strength of the glue as well. So it tends to bond a little bit better. So if you
and you put some like filings in it as well, don't you?
Yes.
And is that just again to make it bond better to the shaft?
Yeah. So what it does is it centerises the shaft within the adapter. Pop that in there. Get a little T in our case. And just mix that about.
You got to do this pretty quick.
You've got a few minutes.
This is where I've done it at home before, and I'm like panicking that it's going to go too quick. And how much would you say you have to have on it? Is that like just a good amount? Is that too much? Or?
That's probably a little bit too much for what we're using. But if you're going to be doing it from home, I'd rather overdo it than underdo it. So then what you're going to do is just grab a little bit there.
5 minutes later.
I don't normally wait for it to do this, but...
Oh, you drop it in and...
Yeah. So get that in there.
Oh, it stinks, that glue. Look at that all down there. Then you do it around the shaft?
And then around the shaft as well, so... Just make sure you get the top.
And then going back to this puring line, you're making sure that line now sits on top.
Yeah, so this is why it marks it out. So can I just jump behind it?
Yeah, of course.
Just to get that. Make sure it's all the way in.
I'm excited to see what this goes like, you know. After seeing how it cured.
I'm interested to see how you get on with it.
I think some good things are going to happen with this.
I know. Just getting off all the excess glue, and then where that line was before, just going to pop that up there. If it comes loose. Sometimes this does happen. Give me a sec.
Oh, you got to clamp it in to do it?
Sometimes, yeah, it just gets a little bit tight, so we're just going to get that slightly loose on there. There we go. Let's just line it up.
So again, for everybody watching, Joe's getting this line right here to sit square with this.
Yeah, so I go straight down into there. Just because I've made it a little bit loose, so just going to make sure it's still all the way back in.
Nearly fell over then. That was nearly a disaster.
Yeah.
On the house in the shop.
And a little bit of tape across the adapter just so it doesn't mark it at all. And then we'll just pop it on the curer.
And that's just
and then we'll turn it on. So what this will do is get it up to that 50 degrees. It gives it a time at the top. And we'll leave it on there because of the glue that we use, we can leave it on there for 10-15 minutes. Normally,
okay, cool.
If you're using that sort of epoxy, it could be, if you're doing it from home, anything from 12 to 24 hours, I'd probably recommend, yeah.
Right, a bit that long, so you could go out
just to make sure, because it needs to be a certain temperature, and unless your house is going to be
50 degrees.
Yeah, up there, then yeah.
No one's house, the heating prices right now is 50 degrees.
I'd leave it up there. I'd leave it for as long as possible, yeah.
Okay, well, it's 10 minutes, we'll check back, and then we're putting the grip on, right?
Yeah, so we're just going to acetone it, just to make sure that bottom ferrule, that tiny one that we've got on Taylormade, is nice and shiny, and then put a grip on it.
Ace. Time. The driver is nearly looking ready to hit. It's all cured. I feel like shaft looks mint in there, you know.
Looks good.
What shaft have you got in your drive at the minute?
Ventus.
Oh, so what I had?
Black one.
Black one.
Yeah.
Long distant memory that now.
I know.
Obviously, we don't know too much about this, but the profile of what I had was to help me launch it a little bit more, wasn't it? Going back from memory.
In the red. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so giving you a little bit of stability across the handle, but the bottom section just to get you launching it.
So it'll be interesting if you get similar characteristics and similar distances and similar ball speeds. Okay, so we've got our grip in here. We're going for this one. Joe's a whiz at this, and again, not very good.
So, just to extend.
And we're going 2 layers of tape on this because that's how I like it feeling a bit thicker.
Logo up, logo down.
You tell me.
It's up to you.
Come on, what you
do you want it that way?
I'll leave it in your hands. Yeah, let's go logo up.
Do you want it that way?
Let's go logo up.
Yeah.
Because is it on 10.5, isn't it? I don't tend to move it. So yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, it gets to the range later. Right, crank it off, change the loft, do this.
Yeah.
You can do this bit at home for sure. Like, you don't need a station like this. Joe's using this to line it up, but you could just get a square edge, couldn't you, and push the grip on and pushing against something.
But which you tend to see quite a lot in your local pro shops, yeah. Not really the technical way. Put
and
tape
then
on.
This is what we're putting down here.
So we've got 1 layer of masking tape, we've got one layer of double-sided tape, and then white spirit.
White. And people at home could get white spirit or any sort of like lubricant, couldn't they?
Yeah.
And pour it on. Make sure you have a bucket though if you are doing it from home.
Oh,
I have made that mistake, and it's gone all over the garage floor, and it's not a pretty sight. You will smell it forever and a day. But so Joe just pushed that on there, but we could just we'll sort of demo in a second like what you could do. So that looks good, you know. I think that looks good with that grip in that. I'm well happy with that look. Yeah, bit of blue in here, bit of sort of dark bluey black and blue in here.
Let's give it a final tap just to make sure it's on all the way. Make sure we're lined up.
So if you're at home again, you just push it against something like this, wouldn't we?
Yeah, so what you can do is, for argument's sake, just pop that up against there, so it's got something against it, and then just pop the grip on.
Ace, that's ready to go. Well, not quite, but
what do you
pretty
think?
Much.
10-15 minutes, should be good to go.
That looks sick, you know. I'm well happy with that. Right, okay, let's let this sort of dry, and then let's take it down to the beaches to give it a few hits. Finishing touch here, because it has been cured. They've got enough logos and stuff on the back of this, by the way. Got enough going on.
There you go.
Thanks, mate. Thanks very much for that.
No problem.
Perfect. Driver is all made up. I'm really excited to see how this actually performs. So numbers wise, we're gonna get ball speed, club speed, average carry, and also like to have a little look at the dispersion. But I want to go through these 3 reviews that I found online. Now remember, how good can this shaft be? It's going to be a direct comparison to an Autoflex. We all know they're like $850. You could potentially class this as like a cheaper version. I do that in inverted commas because $650 is still very, very expensive. But anyway, let's have a look at this. And if you know anybody that has been fortunate to try one of these, use it, then get down below in the comments. So this is posted in November 2023. So I received a message from the folks that used to work at Autoflex, okay, in South Korea.
he has moved to a new company called Proxima Golf. They are coming out with new shafts that are supposed to be a direct competitor to Autoflex. And to my surprise, Ventus TR. Now actually, I used to have a Ventus TR, and I have hit an Autoflex before. So interesting, like it'd be a good one for me to actually see if I could tell you if it is. Okay, another one comment in here. It's the closest things to feeling automatic that I've ever felt. And the final one, got fitted into a Proxima driver shaft last year. Very, very repeatable. Got by a Golf Digest top 50 fitter. Now, going into one of the longer reviews here, I won't bore you with it, but I'll put it on the screen. Essentially, they are saying that it's a very, very stable shaft. So what we've got to think about that is simply, will my ball flight be consistent? Even if I don't hit it at well, if I get it heely, if I get it toey, will my ball flight be consistent in terms of dispersion? Drum roll. We're now nearly at the beaches. I'm about to pull in just up here on the left and give this a go. I'm really hoping they give me a coffee because it's absolutely freezing, and I hope I've got some layers in the back. Come on, let's go and hit this and let's see what it's actually like.
It's absolutely freezing, hence why the G-lay is going on. Sorry if the colour doesn't go, bit of colour clash I know, but oh well, couldn't wait. Had to start a bicky, thanks to the beaches for a brew. But it's now time to go and try this $650 shaft. 650. Now what was really impressive, that Purin, didn't expect that, and definitely Joe didn't expect it too. Right, let's head there. You know what, I think this looks ace. I'm so happy with that grip colour. My videographer wasn't happy with the colour. They thought I should have gone with the city blue. Let me know down below in the comments, did I make the right grip choice? I think it just looks mega. Now, I've just had this out. I don't know why. It feels really short and really controllable. It does feel very stiff. Like, I know this means nothing, but it really feels sturdy. Now, whether that's just the idea of the marketing that's done a very good job, I don't know. But anyway, let's start off by hitting some. We're just gonna hit some numbers. Let's get some carry, some ball speed, obviously have a little look at the dispersion. And what I'm also interested in is that club head speed. Now, usually I operate around the 110. I operate around the 160 ball speed, and I want over 250 carry. I want over 250 carry, that's gotta be the case. So we'll aim, look at this here, see the 200-yard marker? We'll aim sort of down over towards that. Right, I told you this range is great, by the way. We're down at the beaches. This is my go-to, guys. If you're down here and you see me, come and say hello. Right, here we go, first ball with this. I feel close to it. Oh my, I know that's right. That felt like it should have gone further right than that. How was it decent? Okay, first numbers. Let's have a look at these. First shot I've ever hit with this shaft. It looks sick, you know. I'm so happy with it. I mean, I've only hit one shot, but it looks cool. So, we had a 112 club head speed. Did catch just a little bit heely, which is interesting. A 160 ball speed. What's that computing in sort of numbers here? 276 total. I wonder what sort of carry we're getting here. Now, feedback I'd give you in the hands, 269 carry. I knew I got it like, yeah, so you can see spin high, 3.5. That wants to be about 2.5. That was because it was heely. Anytime you hit towards the heel, it makes it a bit spinnier. So if we can get out the middle, that'd be great, obviously. But my first reaction is it's very stiff, very solid in the hands, and feels solid down at the tip too. It's where T-pegs have flown away. Right, T-peg, set a couple more for you. It's a real upcharge on this, isn't it? Come on, Alex, let's find the middle. That was out the middle, I got that. That was right over the 200 as well. Ooh, that was sent. Okay, 263. 2.9 spin, still a little high. What are we talking here? But look, still a little high on the spin. Maybe that's the shaft. 112.1, 161.3. Great smash. And then what total's that? 279 total. Very consistent. Still good hit, but still not as long as I thought. Interesting. I'm losing tees for fun here. Take one more for you. What do you think? Did I make the right decisions here? I think it's definitely a good option in terms of what it's replacing. I think it might take a few tweaks, but that's something I think we've got to do in a future video, right? Here we go. The weird thing is, I've hit none of them absolutely perfect, but they're all in play. So consistent. And the idea of this shaft is what it was, that it's stable. So that's a 274 total. This was healed again, by the way. It is a 112, 159. Let's see what the carry was. 251. 376. Now maybe a little bit of that is range balls, but I'm honestly, I've hit the first one out of there, the last one out of there, just this part here. I'm good I didn't get it out the middle. But not every day you are. But you know what? That was super fun getting that shaft put in there. This is a great option for me, I think. It needs a little bit of tweaking, and that's something that I'm gonna bring in a future video. Tweaking this shaft. and maximising this club. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to subscribe, and thanks so much for tuning in.